countryside of South Wales is scarred by the once thriving mining industry. Its 5 valleys held 620 mines with 250,000 workers, but by 1994 all but one had been shut down. Cwmaman's 5 mines have been razed to the ground, and now the only visible evidence of the town's proud heritage are the houses which supplied the pits with labourers. This is the home of Jason Knott, lead singer of a band called Curb, or Reviver Gene. There seems to be some indecision over the name. Working in local factories to support themselves, the band has been together for over a year.
I would have left for you if it would make you stay, but now you packed your bags and now you're on your way, looking back.
Despite the apparently downbeat environment, Jason is full of optimism, especially if he thinks I'm going to make it up this hillside to his favourite rock without crampons, ropes and oxygen tanks.
This is it.
One of these days, my boy, all of this will be yours. Blimey. So what's the significance of this rock, then? Take as long as you like to answer, while I get my breath back. So you can get yours back as well.
All we use it for usually just to come up in and, well, wishful think, I think is the best way to say.
Daydreaming.
After we've played a gig or something, we just go for a band, we'll just get together and just come up here, like, it's a good place to come, like.
So how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 22.
How old are the others?
Sid, Jared, his rhythm, he's 29. There's Sid on the drums, he's 29, and the rest of us is Johnny and David, 22, like, so not an old band, really. The first gig we done here, we was like gobsmacked, because everybody knows everybody in this place, like, it is like a goldfish bowl, like, everybody knows it, you know, and I just wanted to see if we could do it.
If you'd come along hoping you'd fall on your face,
that's
maybe.
What I mean, yeah. That's probably what it was the first time.
So if you hadn't got into a band, what would you be doing? Nothing?
Nothing, I think, no. Probably I'd be playing football today, you know.
Yeah.
With the local side, that's basically it. That's all we've got, that's all I've got is the band at the moment.
Come on, Jason, let's get back, man.
Yeah. Let's go in the club. I've done the pub. We're winning swept, I think.
I see the attraction of it, though.
Yeah.
I'm much better at going downhill than up. So your songs tend to be about sort of relationships, girlfriends.
But I wouldn't say, no, I wouldn't go that far at all. I don't think we've got any songs about...
Have you not? So what are they about?
Just basically life in general. It's like, you know, you come home from work, you do the same thing every week, day in, day out. You know? We work for shit money at the end of the day. That's what it is, like.
No, so it's more...
It's like I'd say it's more
a bit
theme
pessimistic.
About, about escape, like. Here comes my girlfriend and my baby son.
Oh, right. How old's your son?
He's only 12 weeks. You off, man?
What's his name?
Lewis.
I'm daft about babies. I always hope they'll wake up and make a lot of noise. But you don't want him to wake up, do you?
Jason has brought me to the heart of Cwmaman, the 100-year-old Miners' Institute.
This is where we done one of our gigs now. It's like everybody from the village come again. Right. And we went on really late and everybody was really drunk and it was an amazing gig, like one of our best, I'd say. Basically, it's where everybody comes to drink on a Sunday afternoon. And
but still, I mean,
yeah,
obviously because it was a Miners' Institute,
yeah,
was it?
On a Sunday, this is the only place you'll find, you know, people really, it'll be full on a Sunday afternoon in Cwmaman. There's like a cinema every weeknight and the theatre, like.
So it'd be a pretty empty place without...
Yeah, this is a good place, this is, fair play. And a good pint as well.
And is that...
Yeah, that's a bit of a monument from the mining.
Has it even got coal in it?
Yeah, I think it's just...
All glued in.
Glued in from the top. I don't think it's real coal.
That all of that energy should have come to this. On the other hand, you wouldn't want to go down a mine, would you?
I don't think I would have fancied it. I'd rather be a rock and roll star, I think.
At the head of the valley is the only working pit in South Wales. The miners bought it from the government with their redundancy pay, and the profits from it are now put straight back into the mine. Down the road, artist David Garner has set up a studio in a disused youth centre.
Right. Hello? Hello, are you David?
Yeah.
Hello, I'm John Peel. How do you do?
Come in.
Thanks very much. Well, it smells nice in here, anyway.
Though the mines may have disappeared, David Garner makes his sculptures out of what has been left behind.
Well, when they were closing down all the mines, I mean, I just went around sort of just scavenging basically and just emptying skips and what have you. And you know, you've got like sort of the old industry, which is kind of obliterated and almost kind of like gone back into the ground almost, where they've kind of covered everything over. And then the kind of the new industry on the horizon.
Well, you can see it in the landscape, you know, the scars on the landscape, but there's none of the buildings they're just all gone.
Well, I think after the last sort of massive closure, I think in '92 the last ones, which just about finished it off in Wales, it was done incredibly quick. I don't really think it was even out of embarrassment, really. I think they just wanted it to kind of literally just wipe it out.
It's very dramatic, this, though. I mean, because they, obviously I know they're gloves, but they kind of look, you know, you think of the hands that were inside them, you know, so there's a kind, seems to me to be a kind of pleading quality. Yes, every hole in here has been hard won.
It's a sign of the times that multinational electronics companies are rapidly replacing all the traditional heavy industries. Appropriating the electronic technology, 25-year-old Richard Thomas creates something that is genuinely ambient. Richard uses almost anything he can record as material for his music.
I use quite a lot of natural sound, or so-called natural sound, I mean environmental sound, which I sort of, you know, record on dictaphones and, you know, sometimes, you know, something more high-tech like that. And this watch, of course, the sampler watch.
Can you take that? It looks almost as though if you were disconnected from it, your body would cease to function. But
it's got 3 speeds and it actually loops, so if you...
I won't understand very much that you tell me about it, because I'm afraid technology and I are not easy bedfellows.
It's a kid's watch, it's a toy. It's very handy for sort of discrete sampling when you're on a bus or whatever. I mean, obviously it's quite low fidelity, you know.
Yeah. What sort of other toys?
Just any sound generating sort of toy. I mean, I find them interesting that I don't actually understand how they're manufactured. I don't actually know how the sounds get in there. Also, you know, there's like a hierarchical thing with sound, isn't there? That those things are inferior.
Yeah.
You know, because they're plastic and cheap, and I like the fact that they are sort of available to a mass as well. Right, yeah. You know, and
intended to be a short-term novelty.
Living in Cwmaman with his mother, Richard records his sounds just beyond the bottom of the garden.
Yeah, the park. You get all these sort of odd drones. You get seagulls feeding on the rugby pitch there, and so on. You get rugby practice. So you get, you know, these kind of odd sort of Neanderthal grunts, and there's like a railway line. Despite how sparse it is, you know, there's quite a lot of sound here, and it's one of those things, you know, you gradually sort of notice after years of sort of living here, you know. So sort of one day it sort of just dawned on me.
What a racket there is at the bottom of the garden.
Well, what happens sometimes as well, you know, because I really like the sound of kids playing. I've used a few things like that. It's just the way the voices reverberate in the space. As is typical, it's virtually silent today, you know.
Well, it's fairly sort of conventional noise, traffic noise and bird song. Session birds, of course.
It's just the contradictions which sort of appeal as well, you know, because you've got kind of quite harsh sort of industrial sounds sometimes, and, you know, like you said, industrial sounds like traffic. And then, you know, you've got the wood and so on there, and kids playing in that yard. And, I never consciously tried to sort of appropriate those things. But, I started realising that I had, in some way, you know, that it was kind of present in the music, that kind of juxtaposition.
Before I leave Wales, I must go to a gig, and Curb are playing at Newport's legendary TJ's tonight. I've talked about TJ's on my radio show for so long, and never having been there before, and not wanting to ruin its mystery, I was in two minds about coming to this teen-terrific place. It's notoriously difficult for new bands to get gigs because they often have to pay to play and guarantee an audience. But TJ's free entry gives new bands a stage from which to be heard. It has seen early performances by many bands, from the 60-Foot Dolls to Oasis, and now Curb. Curb, or Reviver Gene, are headlining tonight for the first time, and with coachloads of mums, aunts, sisters and girlfriends joining in from Cwmaman, this is a huge event. The band and their supporters have been great, and surrounded by the lads and lasses of Cwmaman, I haven't enjoyed a gig as much for years.
John Peel's gigging in Cornwall next Saturday at the later time of 12:20. A double CD containing tracks from the bands featured in The Sounds of the Suburbs